Imagine meeting someone who feels like they were written into your life long before you ever knew their name. No matter how hard you try to forget them, something keeps pulling your heart back. But what if the reason you haven't ended up together isn't because they're the wrong person? It's because the right version of you hasn't been born yet. Today, you'll discover why the deepest connections often begin with separation, why waiting can be part of destiny, and what must happen before two souls can truly unite. By the end of this video, you may stop asking, "Will we ever be together?" and start asking the one question that has the power to change everything. Most people believe destiny is something waiting for them somewhere in the future. They imagine that one special person will appear, and suddenly, everything that feels broken inside them will finally make sense. It is a comforting idea, but it also places the responsibility for our happiness into someone else's hands. The deeper truth is that the quality of every relationship is shaped long before two people ever come together. It begins in the quiet moments, when no one is watching, when you are forced to face your own thoughts, fears, and emotional patterns. Every person carries an invisible world within them. This inner world is built from childhood experiences, painful memories, moments of rejection, and beliefs about love that have slowly formed over many years. Although these patterns remain hidden, they quietly influence every decision, every expectation, and every emotional reaction. Without realizing it, we often look for someone who will rescue us from feelings we have never learned to understand ourselves. This is why two people can feel an immediate and powerful connection, yet still struggle to build a lasting relationship. Attraction alone cannot overcome emotional wounds that have been ignored for years. A strong connection may bring two hearts together, but only inner growth allows them to remain together. Otherwise, fear begins speaking louder than love. Small misunderstandings become large conflicts. Silence feels like rejection. Distance feels like abandonment. Instead of seeing the other person clearly, we begin seeing them through the lens of our own unresolved pain. Real transformation begins when you stop asking why another person behaves a certain way and start asking why their actions affect you so deeply. That question opens a door that many people spend their entire lives avoiding. It invites you to explore the hidden beliefs that quietly shape your emotions. Perhaps you fear being left because you once felt unseen. Perhaps you constantly seek reassurance because you never believed you were enough. These discoveries are not signs of weakness. They are the beginning of freedom. As you become more aware of yourself, something remarkable happens. You stop expecting another person to carry the weight of your emotional healing. Instead of searching for someone to complete you, you begin building a life that already feels meaningful on its own. Your confidence no longer depends on someone else's attention. Your peace no longer disappears because of uncertainty. You become emotionally grounded, able to love without constantly fearing loss. Ironically, this is often the moment when relationships begin to change. People naturally respond differently to someone who carries quiet confidence instead of emotional desperation. Your conversations become more genuine. Your choices become healthier. You stop chasing what constantly runs away from you and begin attracting connections built on honesty, respect, and emotional maturity. Perhaps destiny has never been about finding the perfect person first. Perhaps it has always been about becoming the person who can recognize, appreciate, and sustain the kind of love that is truly meant to last. Few experiences are more painful than feeling deeply connected to someone and then watching life place distance between you. The silence can feel confusing. Questions begin to fill your mind. Did they stop caring? Did you make a mistake? Was the connection only real to you? The heart naturally searches for answers, but not every separation is meant to destroy a bond. Sometimes it is meant to transform the people within it. When two people meet, they do not only bring their dreams and hopes into the relationship, they also bring old fears, hidden insecurities, and emotional habits shaped by years of life experiences. In the beginning, strong feelings can hide these deeper patterns. Everything feels exciting, effortless, and full of possibility. But as time passes, the parts of ourselves we have ignored slowly begin to appear. The relationship becomes a mirror, reflecting emotions that were always there but remained unseen. This is often the moment when life creates distance, not necessarily because love has disappeared, but because both individuals have reached a point where personal growth can no longer be avoided. Remaining together without change may only repeat the same painful cycles. Temporary separation gives each person the opportunity to face themselves without depending on the presence of the other. Solitude has a unique way of revealing truths that constant companionship can easily hide. In moments of quiet, you begin to notice the thoughts that control your emotions. You recognize how often fear speaks louder than trust. You discover habits of seeking validation, avoiding difficult conversations, or expecting another person to heal wounds that only you can truly understand. These realizations are uncomfortable, yet they become the foundation of genuine emotional maturity. The person you are thinking about may be experiencing a similar journey, even if you cannot see it. Growth rarely happens where everyone can watch. It unfolds in private moments, through disappointment, reflection, failure, and difficult choices. Just as you cannot force a flower to bloom before its season, you cannot force another person's emotional development before they are ready. Every individual follows a unique path toward understanding themselves. Many people mistake waiting as a sign that nothing is happening. In reality, the most important changes are often invisible. Just as roots grow beneath the ground, before a tree reaches toward the sky, emotional strength develops long before it becomes visible in someone's actions. What appears to be stillness may actually be preparation for something stronger than before. If two people eventually meet again after sincere inner growth, they often discover that the relationship feels completely different. Old arguments lose their power. Fear no longer controls every conversation. There is more patience, more understanding, and less need to prove or defend oneself. The connection becomes healthier because the people within it have changed. This is why separation should not always be viewed as the end of a meaningful connection. Sometimes it is the quiet space where wisdom grows, where old patterns lose their hold, and where two individuals slowly become capable of creating the kind of relationship that neither of them could have sustained before. Many people believe the greatest obstacles in a relationship come from the other person's behavior. They think that if their partner communicated better, showed more affection, or made fewer mistakes, everything would finally fall into place. While these things certainly matter, the deepest challenges often begin much earlier. They begin within the hidden parts of ourselves that quietly influence the way we think, feel, and respond. These unseen emotional wounds rarely announce themselves openly. Instead, they disguise themselves as anger, jealousy, insecurity, or the constant fear of losing someone we deeply care about. Every painful experience leaves behind more than a memory. It also leaves behind a belief. A child who grows up feeling ignored may begin to believe that they are not important enough to be loved. Someone who has experienced betrayal may secretly expect every future relationship to end the same way. Another person who has been repeatedly criticized may struggle to believe they are ever truly enough. These beliefs often remain hidden beneath the surface, but they continue shaping every emotional reaction without asking for permission. This is why two people can experience the exact same situation and respond in completely different ways. One person sees a delayed text message and calmly assumes the other is simply busy. Another immediately imagines rejection, distance, or the beginning of the end. The event is the same, but the meaning attached to it comes from an older emotional story that has never been fully understood or healed. When these hidden wounds remain unconscious, they quietly control the relationship. Instead of listening carefully, we react automatically. Instead of asking questions, we make assumptions. Instead of expressing our fears honestly, we hide them behind blame, silence, or emotional withdrawal. Over time, these patterns create misunderstandings that seem to come from nowhere. In reality, they have been developing beneath the surface for much longer than either person realizes. The most important step toward lasting love is becoming aware of these invisible patterns. This requires courage because it asks us to stop placing all responsibility on someone else and begin looking inward with honesty. It is not about judging yourself or feeling ashamed of your past. It is about understanding that every emotional trigger carries a message. Rather than asking, "Why did they make me feel this way?" a more powerful question becomes, "What part of me feels threatened? And why?" As awareness grows, emotional reactions begin to change. Fear no longer controls every decision. Old beliefs lose their power because they are finally seen for what they are, echoes of past intents, rather than facts about the present. You become more patient with yourself and more compassionate toward others. Conversations become calmer because you are responding to the person in front of you instead of reacting to memories from years ago. When two people are willing to face their hidden wounds instead of pretending they do not exist, love begins to rest on a stronger foundation. Trust grows naturally, understanding becomes deeper, and the relationship is no longer controlled by invisible fears, but guided by greater self-awareness, emotional honesty, and genuine inner strength. One of the greatest misunderstandings about love is the belief that another person is supposed to complete us. Stories, movies, and even everyday conversations often suggest that somewhere in the world there is one person who will fill every empty space inside us. While this idea sounds comforting, it places an impossible burden on any relationship. No human being can permanently carry the weight of another person's emotional needs without eventually becoming exhausted. Lasting love is not built when two incomplete people depend entirely on each other. It grows when two whole individuals choose to share their lives while remaining secure within themselves. Being emotionally whole does not mean living without pain or never experiencing moments of loneliness. Every person carries disappointments, regrets, and unanswered questions. Wholeness simply means that your sense of worth no longer depends entirely on another person's approval, attention, or constant reassurance. You recognize your value even during moments when life feels uncertain. Instead of searching for someone to rescue you from yourself, you begin creating a life that reflects your own values, purpose, and inner peace. When a person lacks this inner stability, relationships often become filled with fear. A delayed reply feels like rejection. A disagreement feels like the beginning of abandonment. Every small change in another person's behavior creates anxiety because emotional security has been placed entirely in their hands. Love slowly transforms into constant worry. Instead of enjoying the relationship, energy is spent trying to control outcomes, seeking endless reassurance, or preventing imagined losses that may never happen. True emotional wholeness changes this experience completely. You still care deeply about the person you love, but your happiness no longer disappears every time uncertainty appears. You learn to communicate openly instead of reacting impulsively. You listen before making assumptions. You respect both your own needs and the needs of the other person. This creates an atmosphere where trust has room to grow naturally rather than being forced through fear or control. Healthy love also respects individuality. Two emotionally mature people understand that closeness does not require losing themselves. They encourage each other's growth instead of feeling threatened by it. They celebrate each other's success without comparison. They allow space for personal interests, friendships, and individual dreams because they know that love becomes stronger when both people continue growing rather than remaining emotionally dependent on one another. Perhaps the greatest sign of emotional wholeness is the ability to love freely. You appreciate someone's presence without believing your entire identity depends on them staying forever. You express affection honestly without using it to gain control. You forgive when appropriate, set healthy boundaries when necessary, and recognize that mutual respect is just as important as deep emotional connection. When two people meet from this place of inner strength, the relationship feels lighter, yet stronger at the same time. There is less pressure to perform, less fear of being abandoned, and more freedom to be authentic. Love becomes a daily choice instead of a desperate need, creating a bond that is rooted not in emotional dependence, but in trust, understanding, shared growth, and the quiet confidence that comes from two complete hearts walking together. It is natural to wonder when the right person will finally appear, or when someone from your past might return. The mind constantly searches for signs, trying to predict what the future holds. Yet this focus on what lies ahead can quietly distract you from the one thing you have the greatest power to change: the person you are becoming today. The future is shaped not only by the opportunities that come your way, but also by the character you build before those opportunities arrive. Every meaningful chapter in life asks something of you before it reveals its rewards. A tree must first develop strong roots before it can withstand powerful storms. A river becomes smooth, not because it avoids obstacles, but because it continues flowing through them. Human growth follows the same pattern. The experiences that challenge your patience, courage, and emotional strength are often preparing you for relationships that require those very qualities. Many people spend years trying to become more attractive to others, while neglecting the deeper work of becoming more authentic. They adjust their personality to gain approval. They hide their true feelings to avoid rejection. They silence their own needs to keep someone from leaving. At first, these sacrifices may seem harmless, but over time they create a life that feels disconnected from who they truly are. A relationship built on pretending can never provide lasting peace, because it depends on a version of yourself that is not real. Real transformation begins when you decide that knowing yourself is more important than impressing others. You become curious about your values, your fears, your strengths, and your weaknesses. You begin asking difficult questions instead of avoiding them. What kind of person do you want to be when life becomes difficult? How do you respond when you are disappointed? Do your daily choices reflect the future you hope to create? These questions gradually shape a stronger and more genuine character. As you grow, your standards also begin to change. You no longer chase every connection simply because it feels exciting. You become more patient, recognizing that emotional peace is more valuable than temporary excitement. You stop confusing intensity with compatibility. Instead of asking whether someone likes you, you begin asking whether the relationship encourages honesty, respect, kindness, and mutual growth. This shift protects you from repeating old patterns that once felt familiar but never brought lasting fulfillment. An unexpected change also takes place within your perspective. The waiting that once felt unbearable begins to lose its power over you. You continue moving forward with your own life, pursuing meaningful goals, strengthening your character, and finding joy in your personal journey. Whether the person you hope for eventually returns, or someone entirely new enters your life, you meet that moment with greater wisdom instead of fear. The future has a remarkable way of opening doors when you are prepared to walk through them. By becoming more patient, emotionally resilient, and true to yourself, you create the conditions where genuine love can grow. The relationship that ultimately enters your life will not simply reflect the luck of meeting the right person. It will also reflect the quiet, consistent work you invested in becoming the person capable of building a love that is healthy, lasting, and deeply fulfilling. Perhaps the person you are waiting for is part of your destiny, or perhaps this journey was never only about finding them. It was about discovering the strongest, wisest, and most authentic version of yourself. Every challenge, every moment of silence, and every season of waiting has been shaping you into someone capable of giving and receiving a deeper kind of love. Trust the process, keep growing, and remember that what is truly meant for you will arrive when your heart is ready to embrace it. Thank you for spending these moments with me. If this message spoke to your heart, consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who may need these words today. Until next time, take care of yourself, keep exploring the depths of your own mind, and never stop becoming the person you were always meant to be.